I love me some Bleach. I don't watch a ton of anime or read a lot of manga, but Bleach is an extra special exception. I'd go as far as say that it is one of my favorite series ever. It's filled with great characters, cool action, and an emotional, well-told story. I think a big part of why this franchise means so much to me is due to it entering my life during a particularly rough period and making that rough period suck less. And as a fan of Bleach, the last few years have been really exciting. First, the anime returned after a 10-year absence to adapt the big final story arc of the manga, 1,000-Year Blood War. Not only is the animation incredible, but they are also working directly with the original author, Tite Kubo, to enhance the story with new anime-exclusive additional scenes and changes. On top of that, there was a special one-shot chapter of the manga to give us a little sneak peek at the future of the characters and hinted at a potential new arc for the series. I shan't be naming that arc here because every time you mention it, it gets pushed back even more, so shush. On top of that, we got a brand new console game for the first time in 14 years. Bleach Rebirth of Souls. And surprising no one that saw the title or thumbnail, that's what this video happens to be about. Anywho, welcome to the channel. I'm Tin, and I feel like I should mention real quick that I am a casual gamer, and while I do enjoy a good fighting game, I don't get deep into the meta of it all. So if that's what you're looking for, then this is the wrong video. Today, I just want to give my thoughts about this new game as a longtime fan of the series as objectively as possible. We'll see how that goes. You might have already guessed from the little disclaimer just now, but Rebirth of Souls is a 1v1 fighting game utilizing Bleach's colorful cast of characters and their weird-ass powers to create a distinctive experience as unique as the source material. That's a somewhat lofty goal considering Bleach is pretty well known for its exciting and dramatic fights. It is a shonen series after all, and that's what the genre does best. To accomplish that goal, the team over at Tamsoft developed their own special battle system for this game. With your typical 1v1 fighting game, you knock around your opponent until their health bar hits 0, and matches are split into rounds with best 2 out of 3 deciding the winner. Rebirth takes a different approach, one that fits nicely with how Bleach handles fights. You still have a health bar, or reishi bar as it's called in game, but instead of being broken into rounds or matches, each character has a set number of kanpaku, or lives, and the first one to completely wipe out all of their enemies' lives wins. In order to get their life count down to 0, you hack away at their health bar until it's completely gone or at least in the red. Once that happens, you can execute a powerful finishing attack called a Kikon move that will destroy a specific amount of their lives. It seems a bit complicated at first, especially considering all the different bars and flashing words and numbers on the screen at any one time, but once you actually start playing it yourself, it quickly starts making sense. The majority of the fight is spent reducing your enemy's reishi so you can Kikon them in the face real good. In order to actually pull that off, you have several tricks you can employ to damage them in all kinds of neat ways. Each character has light and heavy attacks that can be chained into simple combos along with 2 special attacks called spiritual pressure moves that are specific to them. Using those moves requires spiritual pressure that you accumulate naturally throughout the fight. Along with that, you have the reverse gauge, which has 2 main uses: flash stepping, which instantly teleports you behind your opponent, and reverse action, which acts as a temporary mini power-up that can speed up spiritual pressure gain or restore some reishi or whatever. On top of all that, you have a rock paper scissors dynamic between regular attacks, guarding, and breakers. Guarding can block regular attacks, and in turn can be broken by breakers, believe it or not. However, using breakers leaves you vulnerable to regular attacks. Pretty straightforward, right? I know it sounds like a lot, but it does all come together to create a combat system I found to be so much fun. Plus, the game has pretty thorough tutorials on how everything works if my rambling made no sense. The point of going into this much detail about the various combat mechanics is to demonstrate just how many options you have at your disposal during each fight. The combat has been carefully crafted to give you plenty of freedom with how you approach a fight, and allows for a level of strategy that not a lot of fighting games have. I say as a casual fighting game fan, but still. Throw in just how unique each character can be, and you have a combat system that is surprisingly satisfying. Personally, I really appreciate the approach they took to making the combat feel in line with the rest of the series. This gameplay loop that Tamsoft has built feels like a natural fit with the power systems built into the world of Bleach. Not gonna get too into specifics for people who don't know anything about Bleach, but one of the key aspects of the series is each individual character's unique abilities. The main group of characters, including the main dude himself, Ichigo Kurosaki, are Soul Reapers, and high-level Soul Reapers form a special bond with their swords, called Zanpakutos, and said relationship between weapon and wielder is how their abilities are developed. Every Zanpakuto has 3 different forms it can use. It starts as a standard regular sword, and from there it can activate its Shikai, which unlocks its unique power. Then there's Bankai, the ultimate manifestation of that power. Basically, every character in Bleach, even the non-Soul Reaper ones, have multiple forms they can use that change their powers and abilities. Rebirth of Souls captures that feeling with its awakening system. If you want to go into Super Saiyan during a battle, you just need to fill what is essentially a super meter that, once full, allows your character to transform into a stronger form. This power-up stays in effect for the remainder of the match, and often changes elements of how the character works. furthermore altering how you approach the battle, adding yet another layer of strategy to the gameplay and further reinforces the bleachness of it all. In fact, that's what I love most about this game. It genuinely feels like the game was carefully crafted to be a Bleach game. Now, I'm aware that is kind of the whole point, but just because it's a Bleach game in name doesn't mean it's a Bleach game in execution. For example, there was that Jujutsu Kaisen game not that long ago that was just a half-ass arena fighter with Jujutsu Kaisen characters slapped over it. There was nothing about that game that invoked the same kind of spirit that has people falling in love with the series. Rebirth of Souls could have gone the same way, but for all its faults, of which there are plenty, there was a genuine attempt by the developers to make this a Bleach game through and through. For me, the attempt paid off because I fucking love this game. It's far from perfect, just ask anyone trying to play on PC, I'll get a bit more into the negatives in a sec, but it's exactly what I've wanted from the franchise for years now. A good console game I can pour all of my free time into. The thing that makes this game stand out to me the most, besides being a Bleach game, is that they tried something new here. Not all of it works or comes together as it was probably intended, but at the end of the day, they put actual effort into this game, and unfortunately that's just not the case with most big releases these days, especially franchise tie-in games. Plus, I haven't even mentioned the fact that it covers the entire story of Bleach from the very beginning to the end of the Ronkar arc. For all the non-fans out there, that means it covers 48 volumes of a 74-volume series. To be fair, the animation quality of the cutscenes ranges from pretty alright to straight up terrible, but still, to their credit, they managed to do the whole story, and it's a damn good story too, so that helps. I do have somewhat of a problem with the story mode, simply because I'm not sure who it's actually for. I mean, for longtime Bleach fans, it's a story we've seen done before better in other mediums, whether you've read the original manga or powered through the anime. If you're getting into the series for the first time, this is definitely not the best way to experience the story. That would be either of the two things I just mentioned. Not that I didn't enjoy the story mode overall, it just ends up being a bit pointless. What's more interesting to me as a longtime fan is the secret stories that you unlock by accomplishing specific objectives in the story mode battles. These secret stories cover the events of the main story from the perspectives of various side characters. I don't know how canon any of this is or how much, if any, involvement Kubo had, but they are neat nonetheless, especially considering I actually like most of these characters. Except for this guy, I hate this guy. Minor spoilers for Bleach in general, but they even borrow elements and plot points from Thousand Year Blood War, and even the expanded novels. That's right, it was stated in Can't Fear Your Own World, and so on.
He said it! He said it!
Best of all, they add some needed replayability to the game, and as someone who doesn't play online, I love me some additional single player content in a fighting game. Speaking of replayability, one of the aspects that really disappointed me about this game is the offline missions, a bonus single player mode that I hoped would give me plenty to do outside of the story, but it turned out to just be a survival mode where you battle it out with a certain number of enemies without your health resetting, meaning you have to beat all of them with the standard 9 lives. I was really hoping for more than that, something with more variety or complexity. Like, give me special challenges that require you to fight with certain restrictions, or finish off an enemy with a specific tack, kind of like the real moments from the main story, but you know, more. Give me like a boss rush or something using some of the boss fights exclusive to the story mode. I don't know, man, just something that's more than what's basically just an arcade mode. If I'm talking negatives about the game, I can't not mention the absolute disaster that is the PC port. Not exactly sure what it is about PC gamers that the industry hates, but oh boy do they never want to optimize games for PC. Unfortunately, Rebirth of Souls is one such game. If you're interested in it and want to play it on PC, then you should probably give it a couple months till it's patched. Also, I don't totally know how to describe it, but there is this general messiness about the game.
Who's that Pokemon?
The seams are definitely showing, like during the big climax of the story when I was distracted by unloaded textures. I personally didn't experience anything game breaking, but it's still a little rough around the edges for sure. As much as I want this game to sell well so we can get more like it in the future, I do think you should probably wait till it's on sale. Especially if you're not a hardcore fan of the series. I think fans would probably love this game. I mean, I did, but if this is your entry point into Bleach for whatever reason, then don't spend full price. On the surface, this game would make a pretty great introduction to the series, but I still think you'd be better off reading the manga or watching 2/3 of the anime first. Like I said earlier, the thing I appreciate the most about this game is how much effort into making this Bleach game genuinely feel like a Bleach game. They weren't afraid to try new things, and I would love to see more games like Rebirth of Souls in the future. Maybe even with a working PC version. If you have played the game, then let me know what you thought of it down in the comments below. I've been intentionally staying blind to a lot of the reviews and reactions so I could just experience it for myself, so I'm very curious what other people have taken away from this game. If you liked this video, then you should Getsuga Tensho that like button and subscribe to the channel to see more from us. As always, thanks for watching. I've been putting the tin in Tin and Max, and I will see you in whatever we do next.